Welcome back from the break. Now, if you've just tuned in, you are still here with us at the Be Bold show, and what you missed is Tanko Ibrahim, who is a social activist who is focused and driven, and his main goal is community development.
Okay, so let's stay on the whole leadership theme by looking at Emerge a Leadership Ghana. And what they are is a teen leadership development group that aims to develop selfless, savvy, and socially conscious leaders in the 21st century. So really taking young people out there and showing them the leadership qualities that they need. Let's take a look at Be Bold with a Purpose.
The Emerge Leadership Ghana is the brainchild of Naomi Adjepong from Ghana and Reverend Errol Lawson from the UK.
I am a doctor by profession. I started off here. I was actually born in the UK. I moved back here when I was 2 years old, and I went to school here up to JHS. I went to GIS for 2 years, did my O-levels, and then I went off to the UK to do my A-levels. And took a year out. After that, worked for a year, and then I went to medical school in the University of Manchester and got a medical degree, worked for a year as a doctor, and then decided to take a year out. And this is 18 months down the line. I'm actually working at Alpha Beta Christian College as the operations manager. It's actually a family business, and I also work on a few other projects, which I'm sure we'll talk about shortly.
Both Naomi and Errol are passionate about bringing about positive change in developing nations, and they strongly believe that the training and development of young people is essential.
There was always a plan to come back to Ghana after I moved. I was in the UK for 10 years in total, and I worked for a year. It was okay, but you know, I thought there was so much more I could be doing, and there was so much more impact I could have if I could come back to Ghana. So it took a while to make a decision. Actually, after I took time off my job, I went traveling around Asia, and that really sort of inspired me to come back, because I realized how much more developed they were than we were here, and I thought, you know, some of us have to come back and try and make a difference here. So that was my inspiration. Obviously, my family lives here as well, which was even more of an inspiration to come back. So Emerge Leadership is actually an idea I had last year, so not too long ago actually. You know, I was thinking about how I could make an impact, and I was thinking really about the root cause of a lot of the problems that we have in Africa as a whole. And the one thing that came to me was leadership, ineffective leadership. And because I was already working in an educational institution, I thought, you know, why don't we target these young people and try and give them some good core leadership principles, and also give them some skills to ensure that when they do get older, they have a sort of framework to work with, rather than it just being left to chance that they will become good leaders. So February all started being planned maybe around October, and we had to sort of advertise, and this was a new product, nobody had heard of it, and now we're asking the people to pay 250 cedis to come to a 2-day program on leadership, and the parents are thinking, well, you know, what exactly am I getting for that money? Because, you know, why should I bring my child to this? I don't even know what you're going to do. But we managed to convince a few of them that, you know, it's going to teach your children communication, public speaking, personal goal setting, enterprise, social awareness. And we managed to get a few parents on board. So we had about 41 kids who attended the pilot. We had about 15 people who volunteered to coach. They were mainly people who I thought would be able to do the job. And so I asked them if they would do it, because Emerge is really not about just lecturing and telling the kids what they should do, but it's actually about facilitating their discussions, getting them to come out with their own ideas and getting them to really think for themselves. And so I needed coaches who would do that, not coaches who would sort of sit there and rattle on and on and on. Coaches who would actually just sit back, let the kids discuss and guide their conversations. So I had 15 people who came on board. They ranged from, well, I'm a doctor. My business partner is a pastor, and we had counselors, teachers. We had people who worked for big businesses. We had people who were development specialists. We had people who, had worked in all sorts of things. And it was good to have that mix of people because it's the breadth of experience as well.
What's next? After the kids go through this Emerge Leadership Academy, what happens after that?
So those kids who had already done the part 1 in February, like I said, we bring them back and we try and get them to do something. Then in October, there's going to be a part 2, which is the Extreme Teen Leadership Weekend, which is actually more selective than the first one. The first one, anyone can apply to go on, but for the second one, the criteria, we take less people. We take about 20 kids on that one. The criteria is really that they should have used the information they got from the first one to do something, which is why we have the intermittent sessions, which enable them to push themselves to do something so they can apply to get onto the second part. And that is actually a 4-day program, which will take them out to the Eastern region, rural location, for them to be able to really think about the issues that affect majority of Ghana, because majority of people in Ghana don't actually live in a city. So again, this is something to raise their social awareness, but also to develop their other skills like their team building, their self-confidence, their ability to think strategically and critically about the problems around them.
All right, so at this point, we are actually going to take a look at 2 students that you guys are very proud of. I mean, like I said before, you're proud of all of them, but there are 2 students that we're going to focus on to see what has happened to them after Emerge Leadership Ghana. So let's take a look at that.
In February, I joined the Emerge Leadership program. It was very good. They taught us so many things. They used so many visuals and petty jobs like doing some nail work to teach us how to communicate, how to be leaders and everything. And I just graduated from Alphabet. And then since then, I've been joining programs such as going to the government school to just talk to them, teach them what I learned, how to communicate and everything, how not to be shy. And yeah, after the program, they were bold enough to ask me for my number, so I think that helped a lot.
I joined the Emerge Leadership Seminar as an AS level student. Now, before joining, of course, we always read in class about how leadership is needed in the country and how leadership is important and one of the reasons why Africa is not really developing as it should. So, entering the Emerge Leadership Seminar, I had expectations of coming out as a leader, someone who will be able to stand in front of people and speak in public. And thanks to the Emerge Leadership, I came out as a very, very, very good leader. Actually, I set up a company on my own, that's Crew Connect, and everything has been great since then. I mean, I learned good communication skills. There was this part of the seminar where we actually had to solve a problem in the community by drawing up a business plan to try and use a plot of land they had given us. And it actually helped me think out of the box and create something that hasn't really been done. And with that application, I came out of the Emerge Leadership as someone who was motivated and willing to do something great in my society.
What's your feedback on them, and even from the parents as well, after they've gone through and this is what they're doing? What do you think about it?
Well, I think it's amazing. This is what we set out to do. It's really it was to equip them and to empower them to go out and do things on their own. So this is what we expect them to do. Obviously, we don't expect all of them to do that, but we try and encourage as many of them as possible. So this is a very good thing. And if they start young, who knows where they'll be when they're 20, when they're 25. I was reading about the Africa Rich List for young people, and they're all in their 20s. So we hope that some of us will make it onto the Africa millionaire list by the time they're in their 20s.
Okay, that is a good goal at least. But why is this so important to you for Emerge Leadership to be happening to our kids, especially at the age that you've picked, which is from
13 to 19.
13 to 19. Why is it so important?
It's important for me because I feel that the education system falls down in this area. You know, our education system in Ghana is very academic, and maybe not just in Ghana, but you know, I mean, we run the British system where I work, and although it's a very application-based system, there are certain other things like the leadership principles I spoke about, which are not necessarily in the academic curriculum. And I think it's very important that we take time out of the academics to teach the children these skills, how to communicate, how to present yourself, how to be able to write a business plan, how to set up a business, etc. These are skills that you won't necessarily learn in the classroom. So for me, it's very important that we teach them these outside of the classroom.
What advice do you have for kids out there who are also hoping to start something like what you started right now?
Well, I would say go for it. I mean, you can't really lose in doing something like this, which is impacting other people. I keep encouraging all my friends and all young people I meet to go for social enterprises, things that will impact society, not just to go for profit-making ventures. Even if you're going to make profits, at least look at ways in which you can impact society as well as making your profits. So that's really all the advice that I'll give. Yeah.
And what are some of the challenges you faced along the way with Emerge Leadership Ghana? What challenges did you face?
Well, one of the challenges, like I said, because we've only piloted it, was getting people to buy into the idea. I think now that we've done it and we've had some results, people are even more open to the idea because most parents don't really think about leadership as something that should be taught to children. So it takes time really to make a parent understand that you can invest this money and it's really going to bring your child out as a better person. I would say that was one of the main challenges because although for an adult would happily go and pay that kind of money for a leadership program, but perhaps when it comes to their 13 or 14-year-old, they may be a bit more reluctant to spend, to invest. I won't say spend because it's an investment. They may be a bit more reluctant, but you know, with results, they become more open to the idea.
What basically we do is that we give them, you know, practical sampled questions and also situational analysis of things happening in the country, and then get the young people themselves to analyze these and then come up with solutions. You know, for example, we give them things about sanitation, things on development and challenges that if they were CEOs of various companies, what initiatives they would take, you know, in order to see to, you know, the growth of the business, you know, things like this, and give them various social projects, you know, to manage. So basically, these are the things, and often we try not to think for them, but get they themselves to do the thinking, the planning, and then you just guide them through the process. Because in Emerge, we believe that rather than teaching the child what to do, you rather have to coach the child to do what they themselves want to do, you know, and that's what the experience is.
Community, integrity, action, commitment, and passion. Those are some of the power words that I got from this Emerge Leadership
really
Ghana.
Taking these young people and teaching them all these leadership qualities, it's important because sometimes I think we forget that with the whole curriculum and what to do. So
and it's very necessary. Now, if you want to know more about these people, please visit www.thebeboldshow.com. Or, you know, let us know what you thought about the interview. If you have any comments, just find us on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever you can.